brother? Mainstream media? Government cover-ups? You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
For the last 2 hours and 52 minutes today, we're going to continue to have open phones, and we're simulcasting now at prisonplanet.tv. If you're watching later on the web somewhere, like YouTube or Blip TV, or at prisonplanet.tv in the higher quality, where this originates from, you can always listen live 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Webster Griffin Tarpley is joining us in the next hour. We're going to talk about eugenics. But also, part 2 of that discussion we had last week, get into these town halls, the people on the edge of revolution. And remember, Tarpley is more of a big government interventionist, but he's against Obama and this healthcare, saying it's eugenics because he's a scholar, an economist, and a doctor of history, and he can break it down for you. So that is coming up. I never really covered this headline on air. It's up on Infowars.com. Headline, Disaster Recovery CEO characterizes Infowars as a group of crazies on flu pandemic. And I've since talked to him. This was just an audio clip we were sent of the conference. I do understand that there's a lot of people out there who are unstable, and this type of wild stuff that's happening, there are some unstable people out there. So I understand his point on this and how that could have been seen out of context. So we're here to hear his perspective, his side of this. But since I never really talked about it, we'll go ahead and play the original audio here from the audio conference with these doctors and emergency managers there. And then we'll make sure that the audio file of this new interview and a clarification gets posted in the original article, because he got a lot of heat for this, and he wants to clarify, and which is understandable. But let's go ahead and play this short audio clip. Here it is.
I want you to know that in the past decade, we've really tripped past the point from where public safety practitioners are safe when they're following best practice guidelines for the remediation or response to disaster recovery. And in fact, because of worldwide connections like the internet or what we're on right now, YouTube is probably more viral than the H1N1 virus. And I just want to point out some interesting studies that we're doing here at Burton Asset Management that will really illustrate exactly what I'm talking to you. If you search H1N1 conspiracy on YouTube, you'll get about 632 video results. One of these is a special report by a man named Dr. Leonard, and he's been viewed 180,000 times. And as of August 1st, he's been telling people that the nefarious outcome of the inoculation will be a massive genocide attack in North America perpetrated by white supremacists, okay? Now, I know that sounds totally crazy, but you need to understand that there's 632 videos out there that say that this flu is a conspiracy, and that another YouTube video by a company called Infowars, or a group of crazies called Infowars, has been viewed 5,814 times since August 1st. I have to tell you that overall, when we just looked at H1N1 conspiracy on YouTube, we found that 2.15 million people in the U.S. have watched these homespun, psychotic tales of genocide and government conspiracy relative to H1N1 virus. And I don't know how many of those 2.15 million people believe that that's what's happening, but what scares me is all you need is one psycho to believe that, and you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands in your workplace than what to do with sick people. There was only one Ted Wyszynski. There was only one Michael McVeigh.
All right, it was Tim McVeigh, but let's go ahead and go to Kevin Burton, CEO of BAM, thinkbam.com. And why don't you? It's a long bio for your company, but describe the company, and then you're saying that's out of context. So break it down for us.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to all the info warriors that reached out to me directly via email. We run a very open small business, and especially to Terry, who reminded me that, you know, at the end of the day, you have to search your soul and talk to God about what's right and what's wrong about what you're saying. And boy, listening to that clip myself just now, Alex, as you played it, I sound like a raging asshole.
That's
right out the gate. I want to apologize to all your listeners, because the key thing to understand about that conference is that it was attended by some emergency managers and a big swath of Americans who are going to be caught in the middle of this thing unexpectedly. And the point I make at the end of that quote, and we can go back and play it again, but the point isn't that all your listeners are crazy. In fact, God bless your listeners for doing the right thing and really asking the right questions. I believe that InfoWarriors has all of this very, very close, if not dead spot on right. I personally wouldn't allow my daughter or my family to be forcibly inoculated against anything, and have been advised by people in the right positions to give such advice to steer clear of any type of inoculation against.
Yeah, that's why the feds tried to order inoculation, as you know, in 2002, 2003, model states Health Emergency Powers Act, but it all collapsed when the smallpox vaccine killed some people, and then Tommy Thompson, Health and Human Services Secretary, wouldn't take it. But, I mean, have you had a conversion, or was just that short clip not showing fully what you were saying? Because look, I mean, are you Saul of Tarsus, who's had a complete conversion, or were you already partially awake? Did people educate you, or was this taken completely out of context?
I was already fully awake, and I invite your listeners to spend some time in our thinking section at thinkbam.com, where we've published papers on, don't let our nation become a surveillance nation like Great Britain has become, or at our blog at bamintel.com, BAMintel. It's a blog that talks about don't let the DOD take away our ability to look at now.
Okay, so you were saying then what Dr. Horowitz and I and other doctors we've had on have been saying could be warped into people really looking for confrontation. Or, I'm trying to understand this.
Yeah, you're right. And what I'm worried about is the innocent person who's dedicated, as I have, their life to the well-being of others. You know, we go into the work of emergency management, military service, healthcare, emergency safety with the best of intentions, and the people who pull our strings, the puppet masters, if you will, put us directly in harm's way and allow us to be put in danger. And so this was really a loud cry directly into that community of occupational health and safety professionals who work for the government and the public school systems and municipalities at the federal and the state level, saying, listen, you can't put people, and I'm talking about one nutcase here, not a lot of nutcases, not all of everybody that listens to Alex Jones, including me, right? I'm talking about one person who could do harm. And the thing that really concerns me, Alex, is that we keep talking about in the areas that I work, transparency around what can we expect for our school children, what can we expect in the workplace, and it's not happening. It's not happening publicly.
Well, but let me break this down for you. But it is happening. See, just like the health care bill has all the horrible stuff in it, but then the politicians come out and lie and say, we don't know what we're going to do, just let us pass it, and Conyers says you can't read it. Well, the bill's public. We can go read it. I don't know which one's worse, the House or Senate. They're both filled with pure evil.
Yeah, they're both.
So it's the same thing on the flu. We know what level 6 is under World Health Organization rules. We know what it is under the executive order of Bush that Obama's continuing. And it's forced inoculations, quarantine of cities. We've got the Northcom meetings where they're saying forced inoculations. We've had the emergency managers on and the internal documents I've gotten with phone numbers where they're getting all the big cemeteries ready. Now, whether this is real or not, the issue is they are really getting ready for a massive crackdown. And with the history of black men and syphilis and Tuskegee and the radiating foster children to death and nerve gassing our own troops with Project Shad, on and on for 10 hours, Mr. Burton, that's why people are saying, over my dead body, you're not shooting me up with that. You know, the swine flu vaccine in 76 killed a bunch of people. So So I know this sounds crazy. Look, it sounds crazy to have the White House science czar write an 1,100-page book saying they're drugging the water and want to break up the family. But that's in this new bit. Look, I'm sorry that the government's completely psychopathic.
No, I agree with you, and everything you just said is very, very real. And what the point that my apology to your listeners is really about not casting disparagement upon all the points that you just made, because they're accurate, but casting a word of warning to people who could innocently be used in this nefarious scheme and find themselves doing work that they're not comfortable doing.